When Morgan Freeman appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live, viewers anticipated a thoughtful, possibly humorous conversation with the legendary voice of Hollywood. Known for his composed demeanor and philosophical outlook, Freeman rarely shows visible irritation. But that night something felt slightly off from the very beginning. Jimmy greeted him warmly, but Morgan's smile was thin, almost practiced. As they sat down and exchanged pleasantries, Jimmy wasted no time diving into what he called the real juicy stuff, a comment that would prove more ominous than light-hearted. Jimmy began bringing up old tabloid rumors, many of which Morgan had addressed before, and some of which were long debunked. With a chuckle, he said, "You know, Morgan, the internet has a lot to say about you. How do you keep up with the drama?" The audience laughed, expecting a witty Freeman comeback. But instead, Morgan's expression turned solemn. He looked Jimmy in the eye and said, "I didn't come here to relive garbage people made up for clicks. I came here to talk about real work, real life." The mood shifted immediately. Trying to smooth things over, Jimmy pivoted, joking about Morgan's age and saying, "You're like the wise old narrator of the universe at this point." It got laughs, but Morgan wasn't amused. "Is that all I am to you, Jimmy? A voice? A meme? A symbol to be quoted without being heard?" His voice wasn't raised, but it carried weight. The room got quiet. Jimmy attempted to lighten the moment again, asking if Morgan was working on any new AI voice projects. Morgan didn't flinch. "You mean replacing actors with machines?" That comment lit the fuse. Freeman had recently spoken publicly against the rise of AI in acting, particularly the use of his voice in synthetic reproductions. "I've spent 60 years building something with soul," he said, "and now people want to replicate it without the heart. That's not innovation, that's theft." The crowd responded with a respectful applause, but Jimmy looked uneasy. "I mean, it's just tech, Morgan," he said. "It's the future." Freeman turned sharply. "Then the future is soulless." At that point, Jimmy leaned back with a nervous laugh, trying to steer the conversation into safer waters. Okay, I get it. No robot Morgan anytime soon. Let's talk movies." But Morgan wasn't finished. "It's not about robots," he said. "It's about the value of real human expression. We're turning art into content, performance, into programming. I won't sit and watch that happen without saying something." Jimmy was silent. It was clear he hadn't expected this level of intensity. The control room scrambled behind the scenes, unsure whether to cut to commercial or let the segment run. Jimmy, attempting one last rescue, said, "Look, I respect your passion, but can't we at least laugh a little about it?" Morgan, now visibly frustrated, replied, "You're not hearing me, and that's the problem. You want a laugh track, not a dialogue." He stood up slowly and calmly. The audience gasped. "I didn't come here to be reduced to a caricature. I came to speak. But if no one's listening, then what's the point?" Freeman removed his mic, gave a nod to the audience, and started walking off. Jimmy sat stunned, unable to come up with a closing remark. The band didn't play, the cameras didn't pan. The silence was louder than any outro music could have been. For the first time in a long time, the Kimmel stage had been left speechless by a guest who didn't yell, didn't curse, just walked away with his dignity. The crowd, unsure of what to do, slowly broke into applause. The internet exploded. Within minutes, clips of the moment circulated at lightning speed. People debated what had happened. Was Jimmy disrespectful, or was Morgan overreacting? But most sided with Freeman, praising him for standing firm in an industry that too often prioritizes laughs over truth. Think pieces appeared overnight, analyzing every line he said, calling it a masterclass in composure and integrity. Freeman, who had no social media, became the top trend without a single tweet. Jimmy issued a public statement the next day saying he regretted if the conversation took a turn that felt uncomfortable and praised Morgan's legacy. But it felt hollow to many. Freeman, on the other hand, remained quiet. He didn't respond to media requests, didn't give a follow-up interview. He didn't need to. His actions on that stage had already spoken louder than any press release could. In walking away, he proved a point far bigger than a late-night segment. Weeks later, the moment was still being discussed on radio shows, blogs, and college campuses. For many, it represented a turning point, where entertainment met ethics and dignity refused to be laughed off. Morgan Freeman had reminded the world of the value of silence, of strength without shouting, of meaning without performance. And in doing so, he didn't just walk off a talk show, he walked straight into cultural legend.